So gonna start this meeting at 7:13. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I want to open the floor to any citizens' comments in the room. All right, so we're going to move on to new business. The first thing, we're going to have the Deca students update.
Okay, good evening. First of all, on behalf of all of Hamilton Deca, I would just like to thank you all for giving us the opportunity for being here tonight. My name is Lily Waterman, and I am one of the chapter officers this year for Hamilton Deca, and I'm joined tonight with some of my fellow officers. Here we have Matilda Gordon, Kyle Russo, Owen Leonard, Jack Stewart, Claudia Rushi, Sophie Doan, Eileen Campbell, and we also have two other officers who unfortunately cannot be here tonight, and they're Caroline Pratt and Alden Glovsky.
A lot of you may be wondering, what exactly is Deca? Well, Deca is a student organization which works to develop transferable skills for college and for future careers. It was formerly known as the Distributive Education Clubs of America, but it's now known simply as Deca. Over 200,000 students partake in Deca per year in over 3,500 classrooms all across the world, including the United States, U.S. territories in Canada, Germany, Mexico, China, among many other countries.
Last year in Deca was a fairly successful year. We had 176 members attend our district conference at Merrimack College, which 82 moved on to the state conference in Boston, and 17 qualified for the international conference in Orlando, Florida. At our district conference, we won 105 trophies and plaques. States, we won 28 state trophies, plaques, and medallions. This year we have 194 members on our team, which is over 1/3 of the school at about 35%.
Here are some upcoming competition events for us. So we have districts at the beginning of December, and states will be in February, and then our international conference, also known as ICDC, which will be taking place in Nashville, is at the end of April, early May.
So Deca isn't all just about business. It is basically we participate in community events by partnering with different companies. And so last year, Eileen and I partnered with two different companies. I partnered with the Institution for Savings, and we made business projects.
And then I partnered with Cell Signaling Technology, and both of our themes were on corporate social responsibility. So we had to develop a 20-page business plan to improve the social corporate responsibility of these companies and give them suggestions that they may have responded to. And the partnering with the community and with these businesses also enabled us to learn how to conference with adults and make inform professional business emails, as well as get involved with the community.
So although competition is a huge part of Deca, it's not the only part that we participate in. We also hold our speaker series, which is an event where we invite business professionals to come in and speak about their experiences in the business world. This year, we held our first one last Tuesday. Mr. Len Dolan came in and he spoke on behalf of the Eaton Vance Investment Council, and he came in and spoke to our students at the school. And all students are invited to come. It's during the day, and we typically have one. We try to have one each month, and we try to get as many people and business professionals as possible to come and talk to our school.
So something else that we have going on in our school is the general store, which Jack and I are actually the managers of this year. And it's a actual small business that we have operating out of our school, which as a business club is pretty important for us. Students are encouraged, they can volunteer in the store to gain work experience and just get the entire experience of being able to operate a business, learn marketing, customer service, and a lot of valuable skills that they might be able to apply to later life. Jack and I did a lot of work getting the store ready this year and making it a more welcoming environment for all potential customers. Something else that we do is the yearly Stuff the Cruiser fundraiser, where we actually participate in donating toys to children who need them.
How Deca helps students. So how Deca helps us is through developing transferable skills for college and any future career. It also builds our self-esteem because we are now more able to present and feel comfortable presenting certain topics. We also get to experience leadership, specifically us becoming officers, but also everyone else can also have their own way of experiencing leadership and can take part in all opportunities. And then finally, we can also practice community service, like in Stuff the Cruiser and many more events that we take part in throughout the year. I also wanted to briefly talk to you about why I joined Deca. So I joined my sophomore year. I was in Miss Wheeler's financial literacy class, and I joined because she told us that Deca is not, you don't have to become a business major, and you don't have to become a business professional to be in Deca. Whatever job you partake in, whether it's a doctor, an engineer, a teacher, business relates to all of those professions. So no matter what, Deca is a club that will be helpful for you.
Overall, we'd like to say thank you very much for your constant support in our HW Deca program. And we also have a Twitter handle and an Instagram handle if you would like to see some weekly updates. They are both at HW Deca. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Is there going to be any sort of like Christmas sale that you're going to promote somehow at the store?
So we do actually have a table at the Holiday Boutique, and we did have an original plan to continue the online store for the holidays, and we're working towards talking on that, so that is a possibility.
Excellent. Anything else?
I'll just add that last week, Mrs. Horgan and I were at the MASC-MASS joint conference, and there was a Deca table there, and I approached the table. There was other students from another district, and I got a chance to meet Mrs. Wheeler's, I think, coach from when you were a student, and learned that were you enrolled in Deca, or were you a team member in Deca when you were in high school? I was, yes. So she remembered you and had really lovely things to say about you. And I just think it's so impressive, and it speaks volumes to your commitment to the team that we have a third of our high school that's involved in the program, and they really are real-life skills that you'll be able to apply to everything that you do. So thank you for your commitment, and thank you for being involved.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
What's that?
These both just need your approval. Conferences for
Oh, so we have to.
vote to approve.
All right. Now we're looking to vote to approve the Career Development Conference and the Deca State Career Development Conference, or the international and the state. Very cool.
You ready for me to? I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee approve the Deca State Career Development Conference.
Is it we're approving the field trip to go out of
The
state?
field to go out of state.
Second?
All those in favor? That's 5. And that was what, the state conference? Now we need to
It's
do
overnight.
the international conference, career development conference. What's that?
Just request a motion.
So can I get a motion on the other conference?
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee approve the DECA ICDC International Career Development Conference.
We did that one.
No, I did the State Career
state
Development.
Second.
All those in favor? So, once again, I just want to clarify that's permission to go out of state for the students. All right, so moving on to the Superintendent's Report.
So I just want to again thank the students for coming. You're welcome to stay for the workshop portion if you'd like, or you may leave if that suits your schedule better. Now is a good time to do that if you are. And then we're going to transition to the Strategic Blueprint Workshop Part 2. So this is the second workshop of 3 that the leadership team has hosted with support of some teachers, and this time we're excited to have parents and students involved as well as we try to help the community understand what our vision is for our strategic blueprint, which really is a plan to make a plan. So our last meeting together, we explored the question, what is the future we hope to create for our school district? And tonight's focus is going to be on what is learning. And so at this time, I will turn the introduction over to our elementary principal of Cutler, Jennifer Clifford.
Hi. I'm going to let Ben Shurston become our tech guru here.
And so while they're getting that set up, I'll just take this opportunity to thank all of the students. If you could just stand for a moment so that we could thank you for coming tonight on a school night. We also want to thank the parents who came along with them. So if our parents could stand, we would like to acknowledge you. We'd also like to thank our teachers who are extending their day to the late hours of the night. Please stand so we could recognize you. And of course, our amazing leadership team who is here with us tonight. If you could stand so we could thank you. And just like that, we're ready to go.
Okay. I'm Jen Clifford. I'm the principal of Cutler Elementary School, and this is Mary Adamick, who's a grade 2 teacher at Cutler Elementary School.
Tonight we would like to continue to talk about possibilities. The last time we met together, we explored how the impact of technology and an ever-changing dynamic global economy are driving changes that most schools are unable to keep up with as they educate the students they work with. We want to continue to think about what is the future that we want to create for our students, for our school district, the community, and the families that we work with.
As we talked last time, our kindergarten students this year will graduate in 2032. We're wondering, are we doing what we need to do to ensure that they are leaving our district with these skills and other skills that meet the needs of that timeline? What will businesses value in terms of skills and dispositions for future employees in 2032? Business is changing so rapidly that the one skill that we know that we need to teach our children is how to learn. We also know that we, not just the students, but also the adults, all need to be learning all the time in this world of perpetual beta.
It is clear that our students must be prepared to continually learn and relearn so that we can keep up with the high-speed changing global economy. Now, the question we will explore tonight is, what is learning? It's not a complicated question, but it's an important one. We are gathered here as a school committee, administrators, teachers, parents, and students. If each of us defined learning right now, I know each one of us would answer it differently. But if each of us holds different beliefs about learning, then decisions may not be clearly understood. We might be sending mixed messages. We believe that if we lay the groundwork now to establish our core beliefs, not a singular set of beliefs that was one individual writes, or a static set that's passed down from year to year, then we will be able to strengthen our work as educators, and it will give us a springboard to align our decisions. Imagine if we had shared principles that were clear to every person in this room. Our decision, from budget impacts to lesson plans, would be run through the same lens, aligning and amplifying our work.
So tonight, we will spend time discussing that question, what is learning? We aren't going to come up with a solid, coherent definition tonight. We're going to spend time thinking about ourselves as learners. The activities we'll complete tonight have both been done in faculty meetings across all of our schools. We want the discussion about learning to happen not just inside our schools, but also with the larger community, which is why we've invited families and students to join us tonight too. First, we will think about deep and powerful learning experiences that we've had individually. And then we'll look for commonalities between those experiences. Then we will start to create statements together about what learning is and what learning is not. I'm going to take this time right now to ask school committee members to look at your name tags and find which group you've been assigned to, and please, we'll invite you down to join your group. I believe group 1 is over there, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm going to introduce Ben Shurston at this time.
Good, how are you doing?
I'm going to give folks a minute to, I see there's some introductions going on at the table. If you give you guys a couple more minutes to finish doing that. Welcome, everybody. If I can have everybody's attention, we'll get started on our first activity. Is this loud enough? Not really? All right. There. Is that better? All right. So what I want to begin with is thinking about ourselves as learners and a little bit of quiet reflection about a powerful learning experience that we have had. So if everybody can grab either a couple of sticky notes or one of those white pieces of paper, something to write on. Nothing that you're writing will be collected. It will just be for you. It's notes to keep track of for yourself. Just put that out there in the beginning. So what I'd like to do is spend 5 or 10 minutes just quietly reflecting on a memorable learning experience that you have had at any point in your life. Could be in school, could be outside of school. And as you do that, think about, why do you remember that experience? Did you learn it from someone? Did you learn it from someone else? Was it something you figured out on your own? What type of experience was it? What was the environment? And some of those questions are up on the board, but I just want to take a moment to think about yourself as a learner. And think about a time when you learned something in a deep and powerful way, and write down what you remember about that. And then we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So we've been going for a whopping 3 minutes. I know, it feels a lot longer. I want you to dig a little deeper into what you have in front of you. Think deeper about those questions around, why do you remember that learning experience? What was important about it? What was that environment like? Think deeper about those things. So within the small groups, can the facilitators who have the laptops please go to the URL that's on the bottom of the screen? And once they're there, what I would like the tables to do is spend a few minutes talking about what you guys wrote about. Discuss those deep and powerful learning experiences. And what I want those facilitators to do is keep track of those themes. What are those keywords that keep coming up? And enter those into that website, and that will allow us to build a word cloud of all these groups to have a sense of what are some of those themes that we experience when we think about those deep and powerful learning experiences that we've had. What do we have in common within the group? You may start discussing right now. Yeah. So we're going to bring the group back together in about 1 minute. We're going to bring the group back together in 1 minute. Give anybody any ideas? So facilitators, if you have not put your themes into that website, please do that right now. So on the board, we have a word cloud that represents all of the themes that everybody put in. The larger the word is, the more common that theme was across the groups. So the big stuff in the middle that we're seeing, community. Oh, I'm getting more stuff coming in. We should be able to.
Eric said we could zoom it, but I'm not getting it.
There we go.
Capture it. Oops.
All right. Community, collaboration, hands-on, feedback, connection, experimental, failure, support, challenging, does anybody see the word school in there? Just interesting. Oh, and homework is not in there. MCAS, no. Within this group, think about learning. This is what resonates with us about learning. And so as we sort of walk down this road, examining learning and examining our beliefs, we're going to have to get to a place where we look at this list and then look in the mirror and look at our schools and say, where do they match up? If this is what deep and powerful learning looks like, if this is what we believe learning is that what we're doing? I don't know that we have the answer to that question yet, but that's what we're looking to explore. So thank you for doing this with me. It did, I will say, did kill me a little bit to stop the conversation, to be up here as an educator and watch students and parents and teachers and administrators talking about learning is kind of the best thing ever. But it is a school night. So thank you. I'm going to hand this over. We're going to do a second activity as well. So Carolyn Shediak and Brian Menegoni, I'll hand this over to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we just thought about the things that it appears that we believe about learning. So our next activity is that we want you to think about the two statements, learning is and learning is not. Again, you're going to use the Post-it notes that are in the middle of your table, and we're going to take, again, a quiet minute just to think for yourselves. You don't have to write big paragraphs. I made that mistake when I did this activity. Can just be short words or phrases, and you can do as many Post-it notes as you want, a couple, and then I want you to keep in mind, as you're thinking about the learning is and learning is not, consider the who that's involved in learning is, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how. So keep those things in mind as you're writing your Post-it notes. We're going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. And when you are finished, we'll give you the next direction. So give me thumbs up when you think you're done with your Post-it notes, and we'll know we're ready to move on. Yeah, put one idea on each Post-it note. And you don't have to do one for all 6, so you can do a couple. Yeah, learning is just a word. You did this already, you know what to do.
So like, if I said everyone can learn, for example, that would be like a who, and I'm gonna put it up on this.
Yep.
Who it a little bit.
I don't think you have to do everyone.
No, you don't have to do all 6. Yep.
Just find where you're like,
Yes.
Just put a word on there or a statement, and then Shediak will tell us where we're going from there.
Good at bossing people
You're
around.
gonna just push them.
Yep.
what? Like, just have to do one thing. What one thing of what learning is.
Okay, one more minute. You'll see. We're gonna do, you'll figure it out. Hold on. This is supposed to be a low stress activity. Okay. Oh, that's a good one, Ryan. Okay, yep. That was 2 minutes. We'll give you 2 more. You can. We thought some of the kids might need a little.
Charlotte's crushing.
I'm sure she is.
Mommy's got it down now. So now you can take another sticky. Again, learning it, learning is not. Do another one.
had different. Okay, finish the Post-it that you're on and then put your pens down. Okay, so now I want you to collect up your Post-it notes. And you'll notice around the room there are 6 charts that say who, what, how, why, where, and when. I want you to take your Post-it note. Think about which category. Is it working now? Okay. So think about which poster each of those would best fit on. So you can get up and start walking around and place your Post-it notes where you think they go and then have a seat. Yeah. You want me to sing? We'll have Liz sing. We'll have Liz sing. I think you're up. I don't know what's going on with the microphone.
That's all right.
Do we have to have his on one side or?
Doesn't matter, whatever you want.
I can do that. Hi, Brian.
Gwen is over there.
Taking the help down here tonight.
Music activates when we start talking. Where?
So there is a mute button. I was just trying to hold it down. When you're finished, head back to your tables and you'll get the next direction.
From what I've seen. Which one? Then you could tailor your
All right, we're going to ask you to start heading back to your seats for the next direction, please.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Excellent work. Excellent work. Heard a lot of great ideas. And just looking at what's on the post-it notes, I can see a lot of great ideas, but what we have here really, as you look around the room, is a lot of data, okay? A lot of data out there, what we think learning is and what learning not be. But we want to start to make some sense of that. We did this exercise, like we said a little bit earlier, in each school. We did it as a leadership team, and it was really interesting to see how each group, for example, the who of learning or the what of learning, how they were able to take all these different ideas and really synthesize them into a couple of statements. So in just a minute or so, when I say go, we're going to want you to get up according to the group number that you are in, and you're going to move to that corresponding number poster. So for example, group 1 is here. That's the who of learning. Group 2 is over there. 3, 4 is in the corner. 5 is up by the blue tables. And 6 is over there in that other corner. You're going to head to those different stations according to your group number, and we want you to look at what you see here on the post-it notes, and can you come up with 1 or 2 statements about that corresponding aspect of learning? So for example, could people in group 1 read all of these great ideas that are up here and think about what they could say about the who of learning, that personal side of learning? And the same for each of the other stations. This is going to be a little chaotic, but that's fun. Chaos, ordered chaos, a good time.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
The other thing to consider is when you get here, if you read a post-it note that you feel belongs better on another chart, feel free to take that post-it note and say, oh, I think that's more about where than it is about who. So you can move some post-it notes around and reorganize them and put them into categories. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Yes.
Are we writing down the sentences?
Yep, and you will see at each station, we've provided you with a writing utensil. And so you may need to move some of the post-it notes around to create some space on there, but what we want you to come up with about 10 minutes or so of work is, do you have 1 or 2 statements about the who, what, where, when, why, how, and when of learning? Okay, so why doesn't everybody get up with their group members?
Yeah, no, look at the number on the chart, not the number up there. Number on the chart.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I could try to type into it. I gotta get out of here and type it in.
How?
I just want to cue the midpoint here. We're about 5 minutes into our 10-minute discussion period to give you an idea about how much time we have left. So keep on the discussions. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Okay, excellent work, everybody. You've now earned your chance to return to your tables, and we will discuss our findings in just a minute. So please return to your tables. Okay, so now it's our turn to share our findings from each group. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around Donahue style, and I'm going to hand the microphone, and we're going to ask a representative from each group to present what they came up with after they looked at all of the ideas that were presented at their table. So group one, will you please send a volunteer up to talk to us about what you came up with? This is your chance to be on TV.
So group one, oh geez, that's loud. Group one had the who, and when we looked at these, we tried grouping them just by looking at some keywords, and a lot of the words that we noticed were talking about that learning is for everyone. With groups of people, it's personal, it's collaborative. Learning is not the same for everyone, and my learning is not your learning. And one of our favorites was learning comes from everyone. So the way that we tried to synthesize this to, capture all of this was that learning is for people of all ages, but it's not the same for everyone. And learning is enhanced with others. While you can learn alone, most certainly, it really does become a different thing when you're learning with others or sharing what you've learned with others or worked with others.
Okay, group two, do you want to send somebody up here? All right. They picked the right guy for the job. Okay, so do you want to read?
Learning is a fun and engaging. Learning is an engaging and sometimes fun inquiry-based process connected to the real world, resulting in a deep and authentic understanding that you can apply to new situations and remember the next day.
Excellent work. And clearly you came up with that all on your own. Nice job. Excellent. Group three, the how of learning. Come on over.
Learning is a personal, fun, engaging, creative process that is challenging but supported.
Great job. Thanks for sharing. Group four, come on over.
We did why, and we wrote, we learn because we learn because pursuing our interests and passions is satisfying, and we can creatively apply new knowledge and skills while problem solving and developing ourselves.
Hey, group number five, who wants to come on down?
We had where, and we did learning. Learning happens everywhere, not just at school.
Excellent point. And finally, group six. Who wants to read group six?
Well, in group 6, we had when. We felt there are two main groups. Learning is lifelong and learning can happen at any time. And so we wrote, learning is lifelong and can happen at any time or any place. Learning is unpredictable and spontaneous and always evolving.
All right, so thanks again to everybody in the room. That can be a pretty difficult exercise because you're reading people's thoughts who have very different experiences from each other. But I think as a whole here tonight, we did a good job boiling down what we think learning is through these different lenses. So did you hear any commonalities as we discussed some of the things, even looking through the different lenses? Does anybody want to maybe offer something that they heard a couple of different times? And it's okay if you didn't hear anything either? Engaging. The word engaging, very good.
Not just in school.
Mr. Tracy? Collaborative. Collaborative. Dr. Kuchenberger?
Purposeful and passion-driven.
Purpose and passion, very good. Anybody else want to offer something?
I see
Fun. Don't forget that. Yes, Mr. Hubby. Right. Everywhere, anyplace, anytime. And it was kind of funny that I think what we did here in this exercise, you also saw earlier when we had the word cloud. You a lot of the same things when we talked about our own personal experiences, but we were able to do this as a community here. We still came up with a lot of the same things, that very similar ideas about what learning is. Do you have any questions that are in your mind right now that you wanted to ask? Just throw out there after we've done these two things together about what learning is, or maybe what we haven't thought about yet. And if you don't have any questions right now, that's okay, because thinking and coming up with questions later on is also part of learning as well. Yes, Dr. Kuchenberger. Dr. Kuchenberger, what will we do with this definition of learning? That's about the best answer we can come up with, but I think it's really exciting that you already asked that question. And this is going to be a journey that's going to take us a couple of years to come together as a community. I don't know how many people live in the two towns together, but this is a really important exercise because this is our industry, this is our job, this is our work. We're about learning, and it's great that we're spending the time in the two communities to figure out what that really can look like for our students and our educators as well. Okay? I think we're good.
So we want to thank you for participating in these provocations with us tonight. We hope you continue to have these conversations with other stakeholders in the community, because once we've defined learning as we believe it, we need to make sure that what's really happening in our classrooms is true to the definition. You might remember this slide. We've looked at it before as a faculty, and we looked at it at our last school committee workshop. Ideally, once we create that left slide, this is what people typically say are the conditions that people learn most productively under, and people never say the things on the right side. We've got to make sure that those two sides line up for us. What happens on the left, the conditions that we know people learn best under, are also happening in our classrooms and in our schools on that right side of the column. They happen. All of those things happen in our classrooms right now, but we want to be able to make sure that it's happening as much as possible every day for every student. So we're encouraged by the Department of Education, the Dusties Kaleidoscope initiative. We applied as a district. For those of you who are not familiar with the project, the Dusty is really looking at the boundaries and definitions of deeper learning within the state of Massachusetts, and we're encouraged that they are willing to lead and not just entertain these conversations. We'll know soon if we were accepted to the project, but in the meantime, we're going to continue to have this conversation. So what will we do, Julie? We will talk about this again at our next school committee meeting about what our vision and our hope for as a district to continue to have this conversation about shared beliefs. So facilitators, Eric created an exit ticket, and I know Brian asked anyone if they had any questions, and it's a little hard to ask that in a bigger group, but if facilitators you should have an exit ticket that you can collect and just have a conversation. Maybe impressions and questions from your group can be put right into that exit ticket. We'll make sure that we continue to answer these questions as we continue this conversation. So thank you for having this What is Learning conversation with us.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. I'm just double checking my tally.
I'm mindful of the time and know that we have students in the room, that it's probably past some bedtimes or getting close to it. So I'm going to ask you to finish up your conversations, and I'm going to thank you one more time for coming tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You did an excellent job.
So Michelle, I did this first. I know you reprimanded me, but I did that one. I did, and then I forgot that one. But you're like, it's out of state. I'm like, no, it's not. So you're like, that's out of state. I'm like, no, it's not, because it said state. So, no. So when I read it, I read this one first, then that one.
Okay, that's what I thought, and I was gonna
And
ask.
she's reprimanded. I'm like, I did it already.
So what should I do in the minutes? Like, I just
read that one first.
switch.
Yeah. It's not gonna kill, because I read that. I read the bottom one first, and then I did the
Yeah.
top one.
So I'm just gonna like move it, like even though it doesn't match the agenda.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
So I'm gonna do the Deca State Career Development Conference. You did that one first.
Yeah.
I just added the dates to it.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna pretend like you said them.
She's like, it's out of state. I'm like, no, it's not. I did it.
I know.
And she's like, you did this. I'm like, no. Because I literally did not realize that I had to approve that one right there. I knew that one, but I didn't think
Right.
about
So
that
you
one.
did that one.
Yeah, then that one.
So.
Only nominate one person.
Okay.
Yes. So interestingly enough, in Reading, they give it to.
So I'm just gonna.
It depends on the size of your high school.
Even though you said like out of state, I'm just gonna leave it off.
My friend's son got it, and I was like,
Just for the record, I always ask to be.
Michelle, should we skip talking about the conference? And then just go right to Ava? I know.
I'm like, there's no room here. We did. It's one of those runs.
Way more than before. On all the cool kids, yeah.
The cordless, oh yeah, right.
Bye, man, Beth. Bye, honey. That was
A decent AV setup for all the schools.
Well, actually, I was gonna cut BJ Brown, close buddy of mine. I'm sure it's on the lights and everything. They still use like the gel lights and everything.
So how'd you like my creative idea last night? Or builds?
What's exciting is everything
When
that
I
we
said
talked
why
about
can't
is
parents come out and spring to help
key to my philosophy of education.
help fix some of the
Which is, I'm just so excited because I've been just like this idea of
Did you eat your dinner?
I know. It's like, how do we speed
Did
it
you
up?
eat dinner?
So
Would you like an
everything
apple?
on the left-hand side is directly philosophy.
That's awesome.
So go eat it over there while we're talking. There's an apple and there's bread.
All right, so we're gonna skip over the.
Can't look like we're having fun.
Thank you. From what I hear. I hear.
No, you're fine. You can stay there.
Come up here if you want. There's an
There's
extra
a
seat.
seat right here.
Hang out with us.
Yeah.
Liz, there's a seat up here.
You can come hang out with us.
It gets easier.
You're good?
That was fantastic. Thank you. So on to new business again. We're going to go over the MASC Mass Joint Conference. We're skipping over that. I'm sorry. Bad choice of words. We're going to move on to, you know what? I'm just going to hand this over to Dr. Kuchenberger so I don't fumble all over it.
All right. So this is an exciting opportunity for us to recognize one of our students. This happens annually. The Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents allows each high school, depending on the size of their high school, to designate students who exemplify academic excellence. And so when I received this notification, I reached out to Principal Tracy at the high school and asked him to think about one of our students who exuded excellence. And this has to do with their all-around effort, not just academic performance, but their involvement in service learning, in the community, and all of the aspects that they bring to their citizenship as a high school student. And so this year I am honored to be able to present this award to Ava Halstead. And I'm going to just step outside of the podium here to present the word to Ava. So I'm not going to put Ava on the spot unless she has a few words she'd like to say. But this is an honor. Again, depending on the size of the high school, determines how many students you are able to recognize. And so, as you know, we have nearly 500 students at the high school. For you to be selected by your principals really says a lot about your hard work and your effort, and just all around what a well-rounded person you are. So congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you. This is actually a really big honor. I have a lot of really wonderful classmates, so to be selected from them is like a really big honor, so thank you. And also just like thank you to the school. I've been in the Hamilton-Wenham school district my whole life. I went to Cutler, then I went to the Miles River Middle School, now I'm here. So it just means a lot, and the community that I grew up in really helped influence just like the kind of student I've become. So I'm excited to go on to college and explore more, so thank you.
Thank you, Ava.
All right. Congratulations, Ava. It really is something to be proud of. You know, we are in a very competitive district, and to be honored like that is tremendous. And you know, it's due to hard work, and you know, the teachers and the principals had a lot of great things to say about you. So, congratulations again.
And can I just add to her parents too? Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, good job, guys.
Good job, Mom and Dad.
So, all right.
And Ava, if you need to head home because it's late, you are more than welcome to do that. We appreciate you making the time to come tonight.
Yeah, thank you. All right, up next on the agenda is the Ed Fund Grant Project Donation.
Page 23.
So, excuse me?
23.
Thank you. All right, so do we want to make a motion to receive this grant?
I was just waiting to see if you want to say anything about it, or if you want me to just. I move that the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School Committee accept the grant from the Hamilton-Wenham Ed Fund for the Suprema RealScan G10 Live Scan.
Second.
I just want to thank the Ed Fund before we even take a vote on this for all the wonderful work they continue to do for our schools and our district as a whole. Anyone else have anything? Then,
in addition to that, we should thank our teachers who are very inventive in what they do. This particular teacher is even willing to have like dead chicken, like growing maggots in order for them to study flesh decay, which, you know, some people might consider crazy and other people might consider passionate. So I think we have a lot of passionate teachers.
so, definitely. All right, all those in favor? That's unanimous. Again, thank you so much, Ed Fund, for all that you do for this district. Okay, up next is the superintendent search firm approval.
Yep. So the school committee asked Vinny and I to meet with the two firms who we had determined were highly qualified. We met with both NASDAQ and the MASC. NASDAQ had done the search for us before, so we were familiar with them and confident in their abilities. We also have experience with the MASC in our recent interim search. And after interviewing them, we determined that the MASC would best fit our needs, and also was a more competitive bid in that it was a lower cost to us. And so we would ask that the school committee approve the MASC for $10,500. The search will, that fee is for the search, for the focus groups, and we do not pay until we have a signed contract with the superintendent. And if the superintendent is to leave either voluntarily or through our choice within the first 2 years, we could have the MASC do the search again for us at no fee. The only caveat would be if the superintendent went to, like, say, work as the town manager, and then they feel like that's still within the family and you got somebody good, so.
Or if they retired.
Or if they retired, because that would be something you would have been able to anticipate in advance, so.
Great. Well, I just want to thank you for actually doing all the legwork on this. You know, I really appreciate it. Helped move the process along. They were willing to take that on and, you know, meet with Vinny. You know, Vinny, thank you also for doing this. So can I get a motion to?
I move that the Hamilton Wyndham Regional School Committee accept the recommendation of the MASC to be our superintendent search firm.
We probably should have something to allocate $10,500.
And to also be able to allocate $10,500.
Okay, second.
Any discussion?
I just want to thank Vinny and Michelle for really going and doing the extra legwork on behalf of the school committee to find the search firm. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I second that.
Great. Anything else? All right, then all those in favor? Oh, that's 6, that's unanimous.
So on that note, we need to allocate about an hour or possibly more at our next meeting to meet with Dorothy Presser. She will provide us a packet of information that we'll need to think about ahead of time to get that process started, if we're to have any hopes of meeting any sort of deadline that the committee's been marching towards.
So is she presenting us with the packet beforehand or
Yep.
at? Okay. And then
As
we
soon
have,
as we are able to get communicated to her the approval, and then, you know, the little legwork with the contract, then we'll get the packet of information she wants us to pre-read.
okay. And do you know when she'll, how soon before our next meeting?
I don't.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that Vinny will be in touch with her tomorrow. She knows it's coming.
I'll call her tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Vinny.
All right, so then it's on us to be prepared for the next meeting to make sure this process happens. Okay.
Yes, because there's going to be lots of questions about what process we want to go through and how we're going to put together our district profile, and you know, how we're going to set up the search committee, and lots of decisions to be made.
Okay, great.
All right, great.
Oh, which means we also are thinking of starting at 6:30. Not because Dorothy will be here at 6:30, but because we'll need the extra time.
Do we have part 3 of this happening next meeting?
Yes, our plan is to have the principals present their school improvement plans to you next time, and the strategic blueprint, not for you to take action on, but for you to be able to hear and then process. They will ask for action in January.
They might actually not mind the earlier start time.
They will love the earlier start time.
All right.
Yeah, see, he's already like, yeah. Setting that up.
All right. That's great. Then next, are we all set on this, Michelle?
Mhm.
Thanks again for doing all that work. the girls basketball boosters donation for funding a halftime assistant coach and request for approval for advertising team sponsors.
Since Craig Genualdo is here tonight, our athletic director, I'd ask him to the podium to give you a brief overview before you make a motion.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. Regarding the program, the girls basketball team generally does a front and back one sheet. I think you have an example there of something they did last year. They'll have the JV roster, the varsity roster, potentially this year the JV2 roster, because there's an abundance of student athletes that are registered, which we're thrilled about. And essentially what happens is there's usually one, sometimes two ads on a single sheet on a single night. They're just at the ticket table as people come in so they can see the numbers corresponding to the players, and it raises a reasonable amount of money, in part to fund the .5 assistant coach, as well as do some other things for the end of the season banquet and the senior gifts and that sort of thing. As it relates, the other question, so I mentioned the .5 assistant coach. This is something the program's done the last several years. Again, the more coaches and the more instruction and the more learning to me, it doesn't matter if it's in the school or after school, the more learning, the more teaching, the better it is to create the environment that we're trying to create. It's a reasonable stipend. We actually are looking for someone at this position that's super qualified, and he's excited to do it. So it would just be better for the girls, in our opinion, to have that.
Thank you.
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee accept the donation from the girls basketball boosters for funding a halftime assistant coach.
Second.
Do we know the amount?
Off the top of my head, I would say approximately somewhere between $1,475 and $1,525, around there. I don't know off the top.
Yeah, this says 1,400, sorry.
Oh,
In the
okay.
amount of 1,400.
Sorry, that was my best guess.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Then up next is the boys ice hockey program.
Hold on just a second. I did it separately. I didn't do the advertising, approval for advertising.
Sorry.
I want to do it separate. I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee approve the advertising for team sponsors for the girls basketball team.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Now we can move on to the boys ice hockey program.
Thank you. The boys hockey boosters, regardless of the decision that happens tonight, just made an incredibly generous donation to drastically reduce their user fees. They do an incredible amount of work. They haven't gone down this road in the past, but they've seen the success in other sports like boys soccer and/or football, and I think one year girls basketball may have done it. They haven't done it before, so there wasn't an example to provide you, but it would be very similar to those other ones. I think they provided a list of sponsors. I think they may also do family donations. For example, you could take out a half-page ad and Homer could say, "Good luck, Bart, this year. We're all rooting for you," that type of thing. And it would go towards, they do a ton of work to reduce user fees and different things, so that's the type of stuff the money would go to.
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee accept the boys ice hockey program as a fundraiser.
Second.
I would just ask that once it's produced, that we be provided a copy, since it
No
was the
question.
first time that's happened.
Sure. Yeah.
I just wanted to take a second to note, as I'm looking at this large list of sponsors, just how many sort of repeat names you see on all of these.
Even just on this one, Dennis Karn's going to donate twice.
Right. It speaks loudly to the involvement of the community, to our, schools and sports programs, and, I just want to take a second I definitely don't have the time to list all of these off, but, it makes me happy knowing that, these these organizations around town just give and just continue to give, to all our programs. So I just wanted to take a quick second to acknowledge that. So with that, all those in favor? Great.
Thank you very much. And Dave, thank you for saying that about the sponsors. I couldn't agree more. It's well said. Thank you. And thank you to everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
Craig.
you, Craig.
Thank you, sir.
All right, up next, the chair's report. The only thing I really wanted to mention at this point is that we still have an available seat on the school committee. And we are looking, if anyone is interested in joining our board for the remainder of the school year, they're emailing you.
April, yeah.
Yep. So this will be, I'm sorry, you're right. This will be serving through April, not the entire school year, up until the election. But to email Dr. Kuchenberger and with your statement of interest.
And what's the deadline?
I thought we said December 4th.
Yeah.
December 4th?
Yeah, I think
It was December 4th.
December
Yeah,
4th,
I just want to make sure that we
It was
say
the
that on.
second. It was the second, so it can be ready for the 4th.
So I just want to make sure that everybody knows it's December 2nd, so we get that
Yeah.
out there.
yes.
And do we have,
And I have not received any that I am aware of yet. So I've been checking my email kind of extra closely just in case it was a name I wasn't used to seeing coming through. So if someone thinks that they emailed me, just ask them to resend it with school committee applicant in the subject line.
do we have a time that the Hamilton selectmen are like tentatively willing to get together with us, or?
So I've emailed Jeff Hubbard, letting him know what the procedure is, and I have yet to hear back from him. Do we want to throw some dates out here that works with our schedule and present them, the dates to Jeff, or?
Because we can go there, it might be crowded, or they can come here, or?
Yeah.
Would it be a
Maybe
public
coordinate
meeting?
offline.
Okay.
It's really fun. You saw how much fun we had tonight.
I know. And 2 meetings ago, we got free gifts. We got books.
That's right.
Oh, we did.
Professional reads.
I think so, maybe 3.
Okay, great. So, my mind is just, up next, committee reports. So there's.
So I let, in respect of Thomas's time, I'm trying to encourage him to leave by 9 each night because he does have school in the morning. He is preparing to do a student update for us on December 18th, and he's bringing along some of his classmates for that initial presentation. Principal Tracy and I met with Thomas a couple of weeks ago just to sort of brainstorm how does he want to incorporate his voice in the conversation, because as you saw tonight, having our students a part of the work is really powerful. So Thomas will talk a little bit more about his vision for the student report at our next meeting, but the official first one will be on December 18th.
You should watch old school committee meetings when James Gowdy was here. He was not afraid to interject into a conversation.
Oh my God, there was a guy, Brad something. He was a choice student from Peabody. He was like, you could tell he was going to be, yes, yeah, you could tell he was going to be a politician because he knew how to do
There are just some
that
personalities that just shine through. So
I'm sure Thomas will do
I
a
am
great
sure
job.
Thomas,
I'm sure he will.
once he actually gets a little more comfortable with us. So, okay, up next, the Capital Financial Planning Committee. So we are, just to start that out, that we were adding that cordless microphone to the list now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
in desperate need of a cordless microphone.
So it's on to prioritize that. So the committee met last night, actually, and we continued discussion about the turf project. We continued the discussion around the MOU with the turf committee. Or actually, Craig Genualdo gave us a report on the condition of the fields. And we took a look at some of the data that he had around the condition of the fields, as well as sort of the economic cost of having to move practices and competitions. So that's something that we'll want to weigh in on as we flesh out the rest of the project. We also did talk a little bit about the MOU with the turf committee. We need to do a little more research and then connect with our district council on drafting that. And then we also had another conversation around the larger capital projects list and giving guidance to Tom, Gary about how to prioritize that and a pathway to sort of figure out how to present that as part of the larger budget request. And then Vinny gave an update on some activities that's been happening so far around the budget development. We have another meeting scheduled for the 11th, December 11th, to continue the conversation. So this is off of our regular schedule because the next scheduled meeting would have been the day before we get the full budget. So we want to, at that meeting on the 11th, we're anticipating to see Tom's prioritization list to give him additional guidance so that we can package it with the larger budget request. So that's the update.
And also an update from him, a prelim.
Yeah, and then we'll also get a preliminary sense of the operating side for the budget.
Okay.
Not in detail.
Right.
By the 10th, correct?
I'm sorry?
On the
11th.
10th?
11th.
Sorry.
Wednesday, the 11th.
Yep.
And so just for clarity purposes, what we're trying to do is stagger. So you'll have the capital budget, which is different than the 10-year capital plan, that will be presented to all of you on December 18th. The Capital Financial Planning Committee will get a sneak preview on the December 11th. And then on January 8th, Vinny and I will give you the high-level presentation as a full committee, which again, the Capital Planning Committee will have a sneak preview of the operating budget. And then on the 14th and 15th, in the two-part workshop with the leadership team, you'll get a deep dive and hear directly from principals and directors on what's in their budgets and what's not in their budgets. And they'll also highlight some return on investment from FY20 as of December.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
You might just, excuse me, reminded me, have you been in contact at all with the Hamilton Capital Committee, or were we?
Yeah, so two meetings, in the November meeting, two representatives from the Hamilton Capital Committee attended, Bill Wilson and Bob Woodbury. So Bill is assigned to the school district, and then Bob is assigned to the rec department, so they were there attending for two different purposes. Last night, Bob also attended, as we were discussing the fields. It was good for him to hear from Craig about the condition and some of the economic trade-offs that have occurred because of the condition of the fields. So they've been participating. We've been asking Bob and Bill, what's the best way to communicate this information back to the committee as well as to the select board and FinComs. Obviously, it's the Hamilton side, so we need to figure out a best strategy for the Wenham side. Just make sure that they're also brought up to speed. We certainly don't want to surprise the Wenham side about any requests that we're going to be presenting to the towns, but we'll have to think of a strategy as we move forward in the budget process.
I've been keeping Wenham, Board of Selectmen, and FinCom updated based on information we have received or Julie passes on, and if they have questions, I either respond and then let everybody know, but I haven't had much response as of yet because they haven't seen.
Are they invited to our big meeting?
Yes, I let them know whenever we have meetings, and I actually, instead of just going to the chair, I invite the whole Board of Selectmen. As far as FinCom, I invite the chair and the representative, which is Carrie. So Alex and Carrie both get it. So that way they are invited, they are in the know, and so they can, so whether they can make it to the meetings or not.
And we're planning another joint meeting We had one so far that just sort of established our purpose and our norms, and talked about some of our anticipated needs and the implications of that. We have another joint meeting after you all approve the tentative budget in January before you vote on the final budget. So that'll be another chance for us to come together and get some feedback and input.
It'd be great if they at least could come to those workshops. I mean, obviously, we televise them, so not everybody can prioritize to come when they're here, but, yeah.
I mean, I think as long as we're reaching out to them, we're sort of doing all we can do for right now.
Yeah.
So
And
thank you for doing that, guys.
We're trying to communicate back, so I know that there was lots of interest in what the special education update, the student services update, so sending that out to folks and saying, here's that clip of the meeting, because we know that not everyone can sit and watch the whole meeting, and trying to highlight the parts that are the need-to-know information. I think it's an appreciated strategy anyway.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. Okay, all set?
Yep, that's it.
Thanks a lot.
Yep, of course.
All right, any updates for the policy committee?
So we finished 2 sections, but I'm thinking, based on what I'm hearing about the next agenda, we probably should do those maybe the 18th. Do you know what I'm saying? Have the first reading on the 18th versus, because that seems to take a lot of time.
Yeah, maybe even just to give people time to read through it, because it's a lot.
Yeah, so if we get them now, if we get them now-ish, yeah, so maybe the 18th.
Sure.
What sections are up next?
So it's C, which, actually C isn't done because we're holding off on the one, right? About memorials. Is that an
But we're meeting on the 4th, so we might have it.
Yeah, so we might have it. Yeah. So we might have it, yeah. So we might have it by then. So it'll be C and E and F.
Okay.
C, E, and F. So it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah, I don't remember what the sections are, but it already sounds like a lot.
Oh, it's a lot.
What's the student section? Is that?
Students is either H or I.
Okay, all right.
It's the one after we finish G, so it must be H.
Okay.
It's not H. H is negotiations.
Oh, H is the one that only has 3 policies, yeah.
That's right.
Must be I.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe
Thank
J.
you.
It's actually, it is J, because we just went over tobacco, and it referenced J, which was students, yeah.
All right.
All right. So
Useless information.
you guys are definitely flying through that. All right, up next, the consent agenda. Does anybody want to pull anything out? Can I get a motion?
I think I want to
sorry.
pull the minutes of November 6th.
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee accept the consent agenda as posted, except for minutes from November 6, 2019.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Going to vote. Are we
Oh.
saying something first?
So, no. Excuse me. All those in favor? All right, that's that. And now November 2nd.
6.
6th, I'm sorry.
So, in our minutes, it said that Dorothy Presser would be coming tonight, and we would be starting at 6:30. It's referenced twice. And so, it's my understanding that you believed that that was not what was stated, so I'm recommending that you alter the minutes to reflect your understanding.
I never said that it wasn't my understanding. When we were having discussions, that I noticed it wasn't on the agenda for tonight, and where I couldn't get in communication with Dr. Kuchenberger about amending the agenda, I just didn't feel comfortable in just adding it without that. So I wasn't saying that I didn't know, that I was doubting that we had the conversation. It was just that, for whatever reason, the information wasn't passed on, and it wasn't on tonight's agenda as we had discussed last time.
Just what I read and understood you to say is that there was 2 alternate dates proposed. Did I misunderstand that?
Well, when I emailed her on the 6th,
Yep.
I offered 2 dates.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So.
Also, while we have those minutes open, there's 2 other items that were supposed to be, the future meeting is to address the email from Marty Cook regarding football field and the discussion regarding consideration of alternative audit firms.
What about them?
Well,
They were supposed to be
just
on
to
the
see when
agenda.
they're gonna be on, it was asked for the next meeting. I just wanna know when that will be put into a meeting, because I believe the audit firm is coming up for renewal. And because I had read minutes,
So I did email you guys the contract. You do have the option for a 1-year renewal if you choose, so it doesn't have to end this year, but it's your decision.
When does that have to be decided by?
There isn't a date on it. It's kind of just a mutually agreed.
Okay.
Business-wise?
You'd really probably want to agree to it by April, before the fiscal year's over. Because then
And I know
we're
that-
really going to want to search for a new one.
Yep.
For them to be here
yeah.
before that.
But I do know it was in the minutes from 3 years ago that the committee at that time suggested that we look into getting multiple offers, or looking at multiple firms, just for the fact, even though we may like our firm, just to see what's around, because we've now been working with them for, I think, 6 years, 7 years,
Or more
and
than that.
or longer, and without looking at other firms.
I think we just completed the 8th year, but I'd have to look.
So it was just suggested with the school committee 3 years ago to the next time when it's up, instead of renewing, that we should look at a minimum, that we should look at 3 firms. And, you know, if we still pick them, we still pick them, but at least to look at what's out there.
So just so that I'm clear, when you say address email from Marty Cook, what is it? Do you want someone to be replying to that email, or?
Well, I just think he sent an email, and I don't think anybody replied.
No one replied to that?
Well,
And-
Craig replied to us that he was going out and doing an evaluation of the field,
Mhm.
but we never got any report as to what the determination was.
And I just felt like we left it open-ended, and that somebody needs to reply, or we need to figure out what.
So I guess I'm just wondering if that's a meeting agenda item, or if that's just designating someone to reply to the email.
I think it does.
So for me, personally, we got an email from Craig saying that he and Tom were gonna go out and reevaluate the fields.
Which they've done and presented to Capital, right?
Right, so then what you're saying is that has happened.
Yep.
So that's what we didn't understand. So then did someone get back to Mr. Cook with that information? Is, I guess, the follow-up to that.
I think what we were, I think I felt like, at least me, I saw that the email came, but no, we didn't have anybody reply or address it in a meeting, just so, you know, we've got a concerned citizen wanting information to get back. And, you know, part of our school committee goals is communication and whatnot. I think we just need to reply, whether in a meeting or in a reply back on the email, just so we
Well,
close that loop.
I want to make sure, though, that we're not encroaching on on a management responsibility as opposed to responsibility for the school board. I mean, I think unless there's a policy unless it adjusts a policy, I sort of feel like how Dr. Kuchenberry wants to address it with having Craig and Tom write a response. I mean, that's totally appropriate, however she wants to deal with it, but I think if it's not a policy issue, it's a management response. That's what I would say. And we should just confirm that, you know, some follow-up was done with with Mr. Cook.
We can certainly reply on behalf of the district. I can't remember who the email was addressed to, but I thought it was to the school committee. But I'm happy to work with Tom and Craig to craft a response and CC the school committee on that if that satisfies that request.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'd be great, thank you.
Can I just ask a clarifying question on the audit firm?
Yes.
Would you like me to seek 3 quotes, or is that something you guys would like to do, or you just want to discuss it at a future meeting on what we want to do?
I think, since we're going to budget season, I think you said April would be a better time to look at it. Is that true?
But we
Or-
want it done by April.
You would want it done.
Done by April, so.
I mean, I can certainly seek 3 quotes for you guys. It's up to.
Like in March, when we're kind of nearing the end of, not as we're going into budget season, but, because you guys are really busy right now, that we can push that off.
I mean, in theory, it's something you'd want in the budget, especially if we can get the quote before then. I'm sure it's something
Okay.
all the firms could turn around in, a matter of a week or so, but
Well,
is
if
this
you don't
something
think
you,
it's too much of a lift, that would be fantastic.
do you want me to get the quotes? That's fine.
That would be
I just didn't want to
wonderful
do it
if you
without.
could do that.
Yep, definitely. Yep.
I appreciate it.
Should we vote? So why don't we actually have a vote, just,
For the minutes?
well, also for Vinnie, just to seek the quotes.
Since there's no changes to the minutes, I will amend my motion. No? Yes? We're at, what?
You guys need to. You just need to approve the minutes.
Yeah.
We need to approve the minutes.
I think in a separate motion, though, I think.
Yeah, separate
Yeah, a
motion.
separate
Right,
motion.
right. So
But
you need to
did we
vote.
even, we voted the consent agenda, so I just need to do a different motion for the minutes, to approve the minutes.
Yep.
Did you guys vote?
Yes, we voted.
Yes, we did vote. Also, I was like, yes, we did.
Yeah, you did.
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee accept the minutes for November 6, 2019, as is.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, great. And now can I just get
I
a motion?
move that
Thank you.
we approve Vincent Leone to go out and seek request or quotes for audit firms.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor? All right, that's that. Very excellent. Topics for future meetings. I have Dorothy coming in at a 6:30 start time.
Right, but she's not coming at 6:30.
Right.
And she will cover both topics.
I have, for next meeting, I'd like to see, since we are missing one person from negotiations work group, I'd like to fill that position for the negotiations work group. Put that as an agenda item to vote someone in for that, since.
Oh,
Thank
I mean, it's a subcommittee of 2, that's fine.
What?
I said it is a subcommittee of 2. It doesn't necessarily need to be a subcommittee of 3.
But it is hard. Like, Peter and I are a subcommittee.
With only two.
And it's only 2, and so if I were to be sick, we'd have to cancel a meeting. And if Peter had something, we'd have to cancel a meeting. So at least if you had, I mean, yeah, it can function, but the practicality of it is harder. That's all. I'm just saying that from experience. Like, if Peter's late, we can't start the meeting. If I'm late, we can't start the meeting, One of us forgets, we can't have the meeting.
All right, we can add that. Anything else?
If there is time, if the agenda isn't already jam-packed, can I ask Danielle Bertucci to come in and give a report about the wellness fair that the Wellness Committee created? And
She might not get on until late, so
Okay.
maybe, right?
She
About
could come at
6
like
to 7.
7:15.
All right.
Okay, I'll reach out to
Right
Danielle.
before Dorothy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
At
do you
15.
think that's fine? Well, I said it was quick and fast before, so.
You said it was quick and fast,
It
so
was.
we're aiming for 45
We're
minutes.
in a new world now, so who knows? When Eric comes, next time, will part of his school improvement plan be the thing that we had kind of asked, like, can he compare what's in the course catalog with what actually is running at our school?
We have that comparison. Maybe that can be an email
That'd be fine.
communication, because I think there's going to be a lot to cover in terms of the NEASC. The initial visit that we had, I know his school improvement goals are really
Right.
being driven by that, so there will be a connection there.
Okay.
But I did pull all of that data together for folks, and we can compile it into an email.
Okay. And then on the, and maybe this will come in the budget, but in the past, with our enrollment report, we were given a class size analysis, which we kind of have for the elementary schools, but that didn't really come through for the high school because classes don't run with the grade.
Right.
Yeah.
Just anecdote, well, I'll wait for next meeting to
Yeah.
share that.
Don't tell us.
Don't, I'll keep the suspense.
People anticipating the next meeting.
All right. So we'll do enrollment update and class size analysis.
Yep.
All right. Anything else? Then
I move that we adjourn at 9:25.
Second.
all those in favor? Great.
Weekly.